I did want to look at the bottom categories as well. And just because they're at the bottom doesn't mean that they're bad categories. It just means that perhaps that they're harder to make work. It takes more time to create meaningful companies in these categories. So we've seen less activity. But doing so successfully could still be very rewarding, both in terms of impact and financial success. And I just want to highlight two of my favorite categories here. So the first one is always on feedback. Feedback is how we grow as professionals. But if you ask, 65% of employees say that they don't receive enough feedback at work. And that's because it's tough. Feedback is time intensive to prepare. It's difficult to deliver. It's difficult to receive. In practice, it just doesn't happen very much. And I think the opportunity now is that we live in a world where suddenly more and more of our work lives are being recorded. So whether it's through browser extensions, video call recordings, even screen recordings with tools like Rewind, we live in a world where, in theory, we have the data to enable generative AI companies to capture the work products that we create, evaluate our performance, and provide us with detailed feedback on how we can improve. And that's what this category is about. So in terms of hotness score, this score is more at the lower end because it's a very nascent category. We only found 13 startups here, and none of those had actually raised capital in the last 12 months. But at the same time, it is a white space with next to no education-specific incumbents, so that we perceive the threat from incumbents to be very low. In a way, you can imagine that this category was pioneered by Grammarly, which I'm sure many know, which is focused on providing feedback on spelling, grammar, and tone of written text. But where we see this going really is in moving from language to more complex evaluation of interpersonal skills. So teaching, decisions, negotiations, leadership, interactions, sales, and basically observing us and interacting with other people doing these things and then giving us feedback on how to get better. And the challenge in doing that is that, out of the box, large language models are not very good at giving you feedback on these things precisely. It's not just building a successful product in this category. It's not just about applying LLMs to a corpus of user interaction data, call recordings from Zoom or whatever. It's also about training models on how to spot the key moments in these conversations that relate to the skills you're trying to improve on, and then training them on what good looks like against these key moments as well. So that's really tough. We'll take teams with deep expertise to tackle this, but I believe when someone cracks this will be a massive category. And then the second one, just to highlight quickly, simulation-based learning. Again, it makes a lot of sense to practice high-stakes situations in benign feedback environments, such as simulations, which of course gave birth to the flight simulator many years ago. And nowadays we're in a world where simulations are used to train skills in broader fields like surgery, mining, even some customer interactions. But what AI is now unlocking is that this idea of flight simulator training for complex interpersonal situations where you need the simulation to be fully dynamic and respond to you. For example, job interviews, sales pitches, negotiations, etc. So that's what this category is about. Again, a super nascent category, 7 startups, 4 million raised. It's probably one where incumbents have a slightly better shot at adapting and creating something meaningful before new startups, just because of how complex this is. This is about content, technology, pedagogy, assessment, all in one. But we still think it's a very exciting category because it's just so large. Interpersonal skills are some of the most important skills people will be demanding in the future as AI continues to automate our jobs. And it's just so difficult to learn them today in the real world. So as an example, I've come across a job interview practice simulation company in Norway that I thought did an incredible job in the demo I was shown. And so I have a lot of hope for this category. And who knows, maybe with Apple Vision's Pro glasses coming out soon, perhaps we're going to see some unexpected growth in the AR category before long, which will also help